And this is the Carmichael Effect. Welcome and thank you for joining us. Here we are, a new guest, the next guest, a very fancy guest you're about to see. An old friend of mine and a wonderful comedian, actress, entrepreneur, woman who's done a lot in her life. And we're going to hear about those stories in just a minute. But if you want to follow her, I'm going to tell you that it's the Cougar of Comedy. That's going to give you a little idea of what's going on here. Anyway, the Cougar of Comedy, Jillie Reil. She's for real. Here she is. Let's go. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, and welcome to Vegas. You're new here.
I'm new as of January.
Wow, and from LA, I guess,
From
right?
LA, yeah.
You were in LA for how long were you out there?
Oh,
quite a while, right?
I mean, collectively probably 17 years, but during the pandemic, I escaped to Miami.
Oh, wow.
Went to San Diego, came back to LA, escaped LA for Vegas.
And how do you like it out here so far?
I love it. I love it. I'm out in
different. We briefly talked about this before I invited you on the show, but the difference between LA and Vegas, because Vegas, I mean, we both live in like Henderson area or whatever. I'm not going to give it away, but it's not in Vegas, so we don't get that whole Vegas vibe. It doesn't feel like Vegas, does it, out here?
No, I mean, where I am, not at all. It's just all green and golf courses and beautiful, and it's just, I love it. I love it so much. I don't care if people say it's a little bit retirement. That's fine, you know?
Well, I think that's anywhere you're outside of the hustle and bustle of the world. I mean, LA, you had to get out really far to get out of that. But, but I just noticed a difference in people. You know, we talked about this a little bit, but how do you feel about that?
I just like that I'm outside of the chaos and the madness, but if I want to go into it, I can.
Right.
But so far, my interactions with people, they've been just really warm and welcoming.
Aren't they more friendly here?
Yeah,
it's just like they welcome you in. I know I'm a veteran, and I have a veteran-owned company out here as well. And I was just back in LA, and I asked for a veterans discount when I stayed at a hotel. Yeah. It was $7 more than the regular. And I'm like, what kind of veterans discount is that?
Here's your discount. Pay me more money.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. It's supposed to be a discount, not an upgrade, an upcharge. But it's funny. And out here, everybody. I was telling someone, I'm like, I go into, because I have a shirt that says veterans on it, and I'll go into like a gas station or something like that, and they'll say, "Oh, you're a veteran? Oh, the coffee's on us, or the drinks on us, or what do you?" They're like, you don't get that in California.
No, not at all. That's amazing.
It's such a different respect level out here. So, well, I think it's cool. We talked briefly. First of all, I haven't seen you in I don't know how many years, but I met you in 2010, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably been 15 years, I want to say.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, you were like a little baby when I met you and came in. And so... No, I remember you came I was doing an acting seminar, an acting workshop, I believe, and you brought in, you had a manager or somebody that brought you in, and we connected, and we talked then, and I remember I was like, you took a few classes, and then you went, you might have moved to San Diego or something, you moved?
I've moved around a little bit, so I may have moved to Palm Springs, like for
that might have been it.
9 months during all of that randomly. It was a long story, but that I did for about 9 months. Then I came back to I actually lived in the Altadena area for 4 years.
Oh wow! I used to live in Pasadena, Altadena. I know that area. Yeah. I lived there for like 10 years. Yeah, so I was off of like Lake and north of Washington up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was over in that area.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it up there. I just had to move for the school for my kids. The school district's not good there.
I had to move because my ex-husband was a jerk. So,
well, that's a good reason for moving. Mine was more for my children, but yeah, that's a good way to get out of it. Speaking of exes, I remember a story that, from what I remember, it kind of altered your life and changed your life. Am I correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So
that was my first husband. I've done it a few times.
Hence the Cougar of Comedy.
Yeah, there you go.
It kind of goes with the name.
There you go. Yeah, I was living in Minnesota, and I was newly married, working a paralegal job, and just things weren't working out. It was just not an alignment of personalities. And I remember at the time I was a little more religious than I am now. And I was like, just praying to God, if you forgive me for getting this divorce, I'm just going to live my life completely differently. I'm going to go chase my dreams and do the things that I wanted to do when I was a little girl. I wanted to act, and I was very much into dancing and all these things. And so I eventually, maybe a year later, after I got a divorce, moved out to San Diego to start with. I still at that time thought I was going to go to law school also. And I met this, he would have been my professor, and he talked me out of it. He's like, if that's what you wanted to do when you're a kid, arts, entertainment, he goes, it's just up the road. Go check it out. Right. Law school will always be here. Come back when you're ready, if you're ever ready.
Wow.
And then he said to me, you just got here. You'd make a great Orange County housewife.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know what he meant at the time. I was like, that's slightly insulting, but.
Yeah. Tall, blonde, beautiful woman. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
Some days that sounds really good to me, though, I gotta say.
Yeah, right. I'm sure there are times
you might even want to be one.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, sign me up. Yeah, those are those days when you're struggling and you're hitting your head against the wall, going, what am I doing? Why am I sacrificing so much for this craft? And then you have a breakthrough. And I know that I brought that up because I remember you telling me the story, and when I first met you, and I found it fascinating in a sense where that was kind of, because I always talk about this is called the Carmichael Affect. Affect is the one that happens to give you the effect later, right? So it's the beginning, it's the influence or the production of, and I know that affected your life, that really kind of altered your course in life. And I remember you sharing, and I want you to share some of that, but I remember you sharing and then you kind of became an entrepreneur and you created another business, if I remember. And I don't know all of them, but I'm sure there's been many. But and then you started stand up and you started doing comedy, and you kind of toured around with that. So, share with the people a little bit about your world and how that changed, how that really did change.
How it happened, yeah. I thought I was too old because I was 31 when I came to California, and I thought, well, I'm too old to be in entertainment, but I could be around it. So I went to makeup artist school on the weekends up in LA when I was still living in San Diego. And the instructor is still one of my best friends to this day. She's French. And she'd come walking into the room and she'd go, terrible, horrible, awful, but you funny like a clown. I was like, all right, well, maybe this makeup artist thing isn't for me. But I still tried to, follow through. And I had, I think it was my second makeup artist job. And they asked me to be on the runway instead of doing the makeup. And I thought, well, aren't I too old to do that in a sort of a fashion show they were having? They're like, no, you're not too old. And so it really took off from there. I just needed someone to tell me that it wasn't too late. And from there, then when I did some commercials, and then I decided to get into an acting class and an acting coach in San Diego. And she said, listen, if you really want to give it a shot, you got to go to LA. So it snowballed from there. I got an agent right away, which he was really shady. And there was some money involved, but somehow he still got me out, got me going. And then I eventually got a different agent. And
this is one of the ones you had to pay for to represent you in the beginning, or is that kind of thing?
Yeah,
there was a lot of I remember.
If I could remember,
they would pop up and then they go away, and they'd be around for a minute, and
he was notorious for
I don't know.
I won't say his name, but he was out in Agora Hills, and if you've been around acting as long as me, you probably know who that is. But later on, I got a different agent, and he said, you're one of the funniest people I know, and you've been threatening to do stand-up for so long, but you haven't done it. So he booked me on a show very last minute. He conference called me with the producer and said, all right, the end of this week, you're on a show. It was a across the street from my house, and I just closed myself in and just like put a set together. And he doesn't tell me it's a competition.
Oh, sure. Oh, no.
But it didn't scare me. It was actually really exhilarating. I had fun with it, and I caught the bug, and I still curse him to this day. So
Wow. Do you write your own stuff? Do you do all your own writing?
yeah, I do. I've had coaching over the years, but I feel like it never worked well for me for comedy.
Right.
Acting, it's great for.
Right.
Comedy, it's like it's got to be your voice and your sense of humor, what makes you tick. I mean, maybe I would say some of the basic elements of stand-up, setup, punch, some of the techniques.
Right.
But when people started to give me feedback on how I should write my jokes and what, it didn't sound like me anymore, and it didn't feel genuine or funny to me. So,
I like you make fun of yourself a little bit too.
Yeah.
And I always like when a comedian can do that and be okay with it, because we are kind of a caricature of ourselves, right? And I know I've seen some of your comedy. I haven't seen everything. Obviously, you've done a lot, but I've just noticed that you kind of make fun of yourself or have fun with yourself with that, and I think that's healthy. I think it's a healthy thing to do.
Well, you really have to, and I'm not saying I'm a supermodel by any means, but if you're attractive, you're intimidating to the audience. So you kind of have to break yourself down a little bit to relate. Like, hey, guys, I'm not perfect.
I'm normal,
and here's why I'm really messed up, actually. And these are my problems or my things that I'm obsessed with or care about, So I think that also just comes into play of just being relatable to the audience.
True. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have to the more you can connect to them. Absolutely. I mean, it's funny because when you're on stage or when you're performing or when you're in a production, people do see you as different. If they haven't done it, let's say if they're spectators or fans or whatever, and they want to be able to relate to you. So when there is that material that, it could be the dumbest joke, the one you don't even, it's a throwaway, and they're like, oh my God, they got it. And that's when it changes, right?
Yeah.
That's when you're like, oh, I got them. I brought them in.
Yeah. And sometimes the really fun moments are when they laugh at something, some uncomfortable pause you had or something that you didn't even mean to be funny.
Right.
And like, what are they laughing at? But now I'm laughing because they're having a good time. And it's just, it's such a high.
What's your favorite place you've ever gigged at? Do you know? Do you have one?
Well, I think I'll call it an honor. I've headlined the Laugh Factory a couple times in San Diego.
Nice.
So for me, that was pretty cool. But I find it interesting that when I started 15 years ago or whatever it was, that my beginner place was bringer shows at the Comedy Store.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of their, they've had all these documentaries about it, their dark era where it wasn't as busy. So they were having all these newbies and bringer shows there. So it was funny that I got to start that way. And so that's very memorable to me. Just
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Being in the green room back there and being there as much as I was actually was just such a high. So cool.
That's awesome. I'm learning all this about you.
Yeah.
We didn't really touch base for several years.
Yeah.
So I met you like in the beginning then, right? That we met like kind of the beginning of your career, basically.
I started coming up to LA from San Diego, and then I think I was fully.
I think you just moved there or something. I want to say you were living in LA.
Yeah,
no?
I was when I
point.
took your class, but I think I started this whole journey around 2006.
Okay, so a little before then. Right.
Yeah, but I was coming back and forth from San Diego. But 2008 is when I really hit send, and it was I was going after anything and everything I could. I did modeling, I did plays, I just did any little bit of thing I could do to get experience. Took scene study. When I'm serious about something, I really try to learn everything I can about it and work very hard.
Just focus on it, yeah. Well, that's what it takes, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, because you said you're from Minnesota, I think, originally, right? I think I remember that too. But
yeah, I'm from Minnesota.
Yeah, how'd you get rid of that? How'd you get rid of that thing?
Oh, it comes back when I'm talking to my family or I'm drinking too much.
Have a couple cocktails.
Yeah,
Everybody's like,
geez.
have a couple cocktails. The Southern comes out, or the Minnesota. Yeah, that's a tough. I know people from there, and it's a hard one to get rid of because they don't really hear it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. No, especially if you're in entertainment, you want to have like a kind of a neutral accent, unless you're doing a specific character. But
I remember my brother. I was out there in California about a year, and he goes, "What's wrong with you? You sound like a Valley girl. You're talking so fast."
Totally different. Yeah.
I was like, oh.
But then when you go back home, do you fall back into it?
Yeah, and my girlfriends back home are like, "You're the worst offender. You have the thickest you used to have the thickest Minnesota accent." So.
Wow, and
that's fun.
Did you take voice lessons or voice classes for it? Or no,
I just think when you're around people, it's like if you stuck me in the South, I would probably sound different too. I think most people lose
kind of that chameleon thing. You take on your surroundings, and
I think so. I didn't try consciously to do it.
So where did the Cougar of Comedy come from? I think you told me the story a long time ago, but I want to hear it again.
So my girlfriend, at the time, she owned a salon, and she was doing my hair. And she said, sometimes I send contributions to my friend's celebrity magazine. Like, this celebrity was seen in my hair salon getting, spotted, whatever. And so she did a submission. She's like, well, you're a comedian. You're in my chair. You're getting your hair done, but you need a name. And she came up with it. She goes, we're going to call you the Cougar of Comedy. Well, I thought it would be just something in the back of the magazine, and they loved it so much. It was in a little square on the corner of the cover. And then, I also hustle, legal work just to keep myself going as well. So at the time, the attorney I was working for, he trademarked my comedy name for my 40th birthday.
Oh, wow.
And I think the trademark actually had so a cougar was born. I might have been a premature cougar at 40, but whatever. I grew into it. I had time.
Can you be a cougar at 40? I don't know. Maybe.
I think you could be. Because I read something recently where someone's like, oh, if you're over 50, that now you're like a saber tooth or something. What?
Yeah, it's something else now, right?
Yeah.
They have a new name for it.
I'm not trademarking one more name. That's it.
Wild. And that really changed your comedy career too. Like that got you a lot of recognition, a lot of notice, didn't it?
It did, because at the time, and now everyone is so much better about this, or is really kind of gotten in sync with this. And I'm not trying to say I'm the only one that was doing this, but I feel like no one else was really dressing the part or branding themselves. So I would make sure that I dressed up in leopard print, and I came to every show all done up, and where everyone else is just like, my name's Joe, and I'm wearing sweatpants, and I'm in a hoodie, and I'm funny. So I felt like people weren't putting production value into it at that time. Now, fast forward, when I lived in Miami for a little while, man, all those girls are just absolutely gorgeous, and some of them going on stage half naked. But if I had that body, I would too. It's just a totally different deal.
Wow. Miami is a little different, isn't it? Question for you. What does freedom mean to you? What makes you free?
What makes me free? I'm not free. I work all the time. Honestly, freedom is just doing what you want, whenever you want, how you want. I mean, financially, I suppose, if you had all the money in the world and you could just do whatever you wanted, that's freedom.
So what would you do if you had all the money in the world? Where's your freedom? Where's your freedom space? Where would you go? What would you do? You don't have to do anything.
I would just travel the world.
Would you?
Yeah. I always said, because I don't have children, I said if I didn't end up having children in life, I would want to travel the world. And so I'm getting there.
There you go.
I'm getting there.
That's what it's all about. Yeah. Finding. I think freedom is a place within yourself where you're comfortable, because if you're comfortable with you on the inside, then you can have freedom with whatever you choose to do. So my freedom can be, right now I'm free. Right now I'm doing what I love to do. Right now I'm happy. You know, right now I'm in that kind of blissful state. So I see it like that. So different.
Mine is way more shallow.
No, it's not shallow. It's more complicated in a way, because it's like, okay, you gotta set all those things in motion to get there.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going, well, freedom's like, if you choose to be free, it's like free your mind, free up your space.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. That's what we're here for. That's what
I feel like I'm in therapy.
Now
this is great. What else you got?
Well, I'll send you a bill at the end of it. But
shoot, I might not be able to afford you.
Right down. No. It's very funny. So I did start as your coach. Wasn't that funny?
Yeah, that is actually.
So technically, that is like therapy, isn't it?
It is.
Don't you find it acting? I know you took a lot of classes and did plays and stuff. Isn't acting, at least in my opinion, when I hear yours, don't you think it's a good form of therapy, a good form of learning about self?
It is. Lately, I've had all these auditions. They're called verticals. I guess they're made mostly. I think they're for the Chinese, and they call them verticals because they're watching it vertically on their phone.
Oh, I never even heard of that.
And for whatever reason, they really like a blonde, middle-aged white lady that's just a bitch. And they call me for these all the time, or send me auditions, and it's so fun to just be
that's so not your character, right?
Swearing at some hussy for trying to be with my son.
Oh, wow.
It's like almost every script. That feels so good.
Just to get that out. Yeah, you get to play the opposite of what you are.
Yeah, because that's probably...
So did you get typecast quite a bit for the way you look and the way you are? And
I mean, I don't know if it was the industry necessarily or my agent at the time that was putting me out there. Because when I was in Hollywood, he would send me out for prostitutes and hookers. And I was like, come on.
I wasn't going that direction, but okay.
He would. And I think while you're supposed to be able to act in any sort of way, I just don't think I was rough enough around the edges for some of these characters he was sending me out for. It just felt, I wasn't getting much of the comedic stuff that I really love.
So there was a stereotype. They try to typecast you, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, they do that a lot in L.A. Or in the business. It's like, okay, this is where, and maybe that's your agent trying to think, well, where can I market you? Because, you're how tall are you? You're like 5'10" or something?
5'11".
5'11", yeah. So you're a tall girl. You're a beautiful girl. You know.
So it would be a shot of my cleavage and a line. Oh no!
Yeah,
it's like
but you got to think
a
lot of the leading women are 5'6". You know, so
true.
You're also taller. And I know I was too tall for a couple TV shows and stuff I went up and I tested for, and I'd be like the second lead, and they'd be like, "Oh, but the lead guy is only 5'6", and he thinks you're gonna overshadow him." I'm like,
that's fair.
So true, but sucks for me. But okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you got that too, because you're in a category where you really have to be your own type. You have to create your own type, which the Cougar of Comedy. I thought it was brilliant when I first heard it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's like beautiful. You can't brand better than that. That's like a brand in itself.
Yeah, I mean, and I try to stick to it when I'm in my routine. It's a lot about younger men and plastic surgery so I can date younger men.
Is that a thing for you? Do you like younger men? Do you typically date younger men?
Yeah.
Not to get too personal, but
no.
It shows about everything, so we just lay it out there.
It's true. I think this happens to a lot of women when they especially go through a divorce. They just, for whatever reason, it tends to be younger men. And I just stayed there. I didn't just go, oh, that might be fun. I guess it makes you feel,
but you also have a pretty youthful spirit, right?
Yeah.
So you're not, I don't know how old you are, and I'm not going to say, but you don't act old. You don't act like an older woman. You don't act, it's like you've always had a pretty playful thing about you.
And and it's no offense to any men that have children, but I was running up against that, and their lives were just more complicated than mine. So I did end up by default dating someone younger because we just could do whatever we wanted.
Right.
And so it also worked better.
I know. So yeah, when I was in the dating circuit, I didn't want to date because I do have 2 boys and they're adults now. But when I was dating, I'm like, I don't want to date people with kids because I have my 2 kids, and they're in my life, but I didn't always bring them in my dating relationships because I kept them private. I was trying to protect them, really.
Yeah.
But I always thought that's a tough one because especially if you're dating somebody with younger kids, or if you do, man, it's so complicated.
And I kept running into guys that would use them as an excuse that I would kind of catch them in. And so I think it just left a bad taste in my mouth. And it was like younger guys.
Excuse? What do you mean by that?
They would use their kids as an excuse to get out of doing something at the last minute, but I don't think it was that. I think it was like shady.
Don't want to
play the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Relationships are too complicated, you know. I guess that's why they take a lot of work. They take a lot of energy.
They sure do.
So are we going to get to see some of the comedy, some of you, the Cougar in Vegas?
Yeah.
That should be really big in Vegas. Again, I could just see like a billboard on the side of the freeway with that.
I like it.
Like the Cougar of Comedy is here live in Vegas, playing at the Wynn, or wherever.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, because I just got here and I'm getting settled and I'm building a house, and that's a whole thing. Not with my own hands, but
yeah, I saw you left your tools out.
Yeah, I left my toolbox outside. It's just when you get to a new city, because I've done it a whole bunch of times now, you really have to go meet people, network, get to know the comedians in town, and kind of enter the scene. So I'm still at that stage of introducing myself.
Well, you're new, yeah. You know, I've been here almost 2 years, and I feel like just this year, I finally felt like I have a place here. You know, like I'm kind of starting to find my people. It took a while, and I think that's probably part of me. I mean, as you and I spoke, I mean, I was so burnt out from LA.
Yes.
I mean, I did 33 years there. I did most of my life there, or over half my life there, and I was like, it takes its toll on you, as you and I talked about.
Yeah.
I'd love to, share that, but yeah, it's exhausting, isn't it? It like beats you up.
I think it was just this last round of things where it was just cancel culture and this is inappropriate, that's inappropriate. I mean, I told one of my favorite jokes in Santa Monica at this club that I've been telling for years, and because it involved a priest, and it was so funny because I could guarantee you no one in this room was Catholic, they kind of went, ooh, and people started to go, oh, your jokes are a little pedo. I was like, because I'm a cougar, I'm not talking about dating children. It was so sensitive. And then I just would watch, I hate to be that judgmental, but some of the garbage that was making the rounds on the scene. And I was like, all right, at least I have joke structure and it's funny and the crowd's laughing and most of the time. And so I got really burnt out on that and how just my type was canceled from castings for a while. Like the middle-aged white lady was canceled, right? So I was like, I've got better things to do than just a heaping plate of rejection. I'm going to come back when I recharge my batteries and it really wasn't a huge plan to end up here, but I wanted to build a house and I certainly couldn't afford it in LA. And I thought, well, this is an entertainment city, plenty of comedy, plenty of all of that to do. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start over there. Not to say that I don't still submit for castings that are out of LA and I will still work that market. But in terms of comedy, I just was like, I'm just done with the sensitivity issue that California seems to have with everyone right now, because I had come from Miami, where I can tell you that was the most supportive comedy scene I've ever been in. All the women support each other. I mean, I'm still on a thread with a bunch of them. Like, if I'm ever out there, I can be on shows. It's just not like that.
LA was very competitive. I mean, everybody wanted your spot. I mean, the more successful you were, the more competition you had. It wasn't even, I never felt a competition myself because I thought I'm the competition for myself. But I did feel like you're saying, the roles would change. There was no auditions for me. There was no casting. And then the contracts changed, and then the money changed, and then I'm like, you really can't make a living at this anymore. Right. And I was killing it for 20 some years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like the breaks, like everything changed. And that's when I was like, okay, if they're going to keep taking away from us instead of trying to support us as a group, because when I started, it was very friendly. It was very group oriented. We had, I had
so
theater companies. I had all, like the old days, we call them, right?
I know, that's what I feel like. The old days are so magical to me.
We've been around long enough, we can say the old days.
Yeah.
But there was a community there, and I do think it's coming here. I don't think it's fully here yet, because the film industry is coming, they're building here. But I do think the people, as we talked earlier, the people here are way friendlier, and there is more community. I mean, even the studio where we're filming right now, the people here have been wonderful, and it's just it's a great feeling to go. They welcome you in, as opposed to like, hey, you got to sign all these waivers and all these things, and we're going to charge you for every second you're over, and we're going to do this, and you can't say this, and I'm like, why? This is about freedom. This is about us expressing.
There you go. There's that word, freedom.
See,
that fits so perfectly into what we're talking about.
There you go.
That is the creative freedom, just to do what you do and the way you do it. That's
why I started this podcast, so I could have my outlet, so I could be free to do and say, and that's what I was going to say to you, because I think you'll find a good fit here in Vegas, and I also think it'll be more successful, more popular here, because there's a need for it. Now there's a need for it. It's 24/7. This is like New York. What other city? You have New York, you have Atlanta or something, or Atlantic City, and you have some in Florida, and you have Vegas.
Yeah.
Where else can you do shows at 3 o'clock in the morning and have a full house?
Right, because people are coming from all over to see it. So that does excite me.
You're going to get the
this.
Tourists. You're going to get all of that. You get on like good venue. I have a couple connections for you too. I'll share with you after.
See, you're amazing.
So yeah,
my coach.
Yeah, just call me coach. Your therapist coach.
I don't have a guru. I'll call you my guru.
I'll take it. Take it. Oh yeah, my buddy Daryl says hello. Who you met through the class. So
oh my God.
Shout out to Daryl. Daryl's become my best friend. Become a good buddy.
That's amazing. I still follow him.
And that's cool. Yeah, I told him you're going to be on here, and he's like, "Yeah, say hi for me."
Yeah,
and I'd
so
forgotten
happy.
that you guys knew each other from that. He goes, "Oh yeah, I met her in your class." And I'm like, "That's so cool. What a great great connection." And I'm glad you guys are still connected or following each other in that. Yeah, he is a flight attendant for Alaska now. He travels a lot, so he pops in here every once in a while.
I love that. I did not.
So next
know
time he's here, I'll shout out to you. We'll get together for a coffee or something.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Or we'll come see you perform.
Yes, I will.
I want to see some. We need some stand up. Damn it.
Okay, I'm getting there. I'm getting to it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this will inspire some followers and some people to get involved and get to know you a little better and spread your wings out here. So we talked about a little bit of what changed your life and, kind of what, was a turning point in your life. Where are you now? What else are you doing besides comedy? Do you have another, I know you had a business for a while. You were doing is that something you talk about or?
Yeah, that I didn't have a good business partner, so that did not work out. So my whole life, or adult life, even while I've been in entertainment, I've worked in the legal field, but now it's legal operations. And so I'm consulting for a number of companies, and that's remote. So it still allows.
Oh, so you can do that just from home?
Yeah, and I have for forever.
I don't know if I knew that, but yeah, that's cool.
It allows me to be an artist, and so I really appreciate that side of my life where sometimes people can be like, I don't like that side of my life, but I feel like it gives me the opportunity to be able to do the other things.
Did you ever go back to law school?
I didn't.
I was thinking that when you're telling the story. I'm like, I wonder if that's going to have like a full circle closure here.
I will never. Because for me, I think at this point in my career, it doesn't make sense to go through that much schooling at the end of my career to probably make around the same amount of money and do probably the same kind of things that I'm already doing. So, no, not for me.
The corporate world was not for you that way.
No,
that's probably a smart thing.
So
I could see you being an attorney, though. You probably would have been very successful.
I always see these attorneys on political shows, and that's what I think would be fun, is that you're still in entertainment to some degree, but you're using your background. So, I don't know.
Wow. So what do you do for fun when you're not working or writing stuff? And where do you get your inspiration from for your comedy? That's a good.
My inspiration for comedy just is like you talked about me being very self-deprecating. So every once in a while, I'll just be getting ready in the bathroom and I'll think of something funny like, oh man, my back hurts, and that's because I forgot I was putting a joke together and I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna say I'm not a cougar anymore because I can't pick them up or something. I can't remember what it was. Hold them anymore. I don't know. But it's just little things like that pop into my head. I don't think anything in particular inspires me. It's just little observations about daily life. Or
do you ever go to coffee shops or anything and sit and listen to other people and get inspiration that way? I know that was a big thing in LA. Like people go and coffee shops or somewhere or bars, and they'd sit at the bar and make notes and listen. A lot of scripts are written that way. I don't know.
That's true.
Was that you? Was that your way or no?
I'm not as much of a, not to say it's all self-centered, but I think it's more of my life experience and the things that I run into more than observation humor maybe with me. So, I don't know. That's a really good
So you got to make fun of yourself.
Just
keep making fun.
I am the source of my material.
It's no fun if you're not making fun of yourself.
Yeah, I love to travel, so I'm working on a few plans for that. So otherwise, it's I want to get back to boating, golfing, all those things out here.
And so you haven't done that yet. It's all because you're new.
I'm
back
brand
there,
new.
Right.
I need to get a boat.
I'm brand new.
Get a boat.
We got a big lake. You got a big lake right here. You got a lot of water around us.
Yeah, Lake Mead looks amazing. I can't wait to have a little boat and tool around out there. And
you can also rent them down there too.
I'm going to do that before I get one. Yeah.
Definitely go out on the lake. I was going to do that last summer, and I got so busy with my other business, I ended up not doing it. But I have a kayak, and I'm going to go kayaking soon. So definitely do that. It's a small boat.
Yeah.
I guess no, it's not. It's not considered a boat, but yeah, no, I like the outdoors. I love nature, so
yeah, I'm excited for all that stuff. So,
so here's a question for you: when was the last time you really felt seen for who you are?
Oh boy, that's deep. Here we go, my guru.
Whoa. This is not the Daily Show or whatever, where you just talk about surface.
You know what? Okay. Here's a good, and this was just a feel-good thing for me. And I'm going to forget his last name or say it wrong, so I'll just call him Carlos. Reached out to me on my LinkedIn, and he goes, I just thought of you. I'm pitching a show, and I just thought of you as a host for this show. And he called me, and he connected with me, and he goes, here's why. I just think you'd be the right personality for this. And so I just loved that when I talked to him over the phone, he didn't look at me the way some people do. Oh, you're just another blonde bimbo, whatever. He goes, no, I can see your personality and your humor and just all these different things that he said that were so wonderful. And so I think he's pitched me for a couple of things now. And I just love that someone saw me for who I am and found value in that and wanted to put me in the middle of their production.
And that's awesome. That makes you feel good, though, right?
Yeah.
You see, recognize, seen, and all that hard work, all that stuff comes back. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Wait, has anything happened with it, or is it still?
He just pitched one of them that he's trying to get to happen here in town with a very famous impressionist. So we'll see. Don't know.
Wow. And where do you see yourself, like, in the next 6 months to a year? What do you want to be doing?
Gosh, I thought you were going to give me the 5-year question. Like
That's too far out. We don't have time. I don't have time to wait around for that one.
Yeah, I mean, in the next 6 months to a year, I really hope that I've gotten myself out there in the comedy scene here, and I'm really getting to know the community, and I'm doing some shows, and I got an agent out here right away as well. So I'm really hoping that I get some traction in some acting roles.
Do you have a good agent out here as well?
Yeah, it's one of the, I guess there's top 3, and I auditioned. Okay. I sent them an audition tape, and I was happy they wanted to work with me because they submit for LA too. So
good.
I really just miss acting. So
have you done the hosting thing much? Because you mentioned the host thing. Is that something you're interested in doing more of? Or?
Yeah, I did a bunch of that stuff back in the day, and when I was in Palm Springs, I was like a regular, I would say, guest on a radio show. Although that's not hosting, but I used to host. I used to be the host for a lot of comedy shows. Someone gave me a really good pointer. If you wanted to get into it, surround yourself with really seasoned comics, produce shows, make yourself the host. And I learned so much from that. So,
right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I was going to say you'd probably be a great, I've never seen you hosting, but I think you'd be a great host because you got the comedic background. You're probably very quick on your feet with that. Yeah. And just okay, go ahead. You can be the you got. I'll give you 3 minutes. Be the host. Go ahead.
No, that's all right.
Come on, take over.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got.
I just feel like I come from a family that we're always picking on each other and bantering and being sarcastic and zinging something back at each other. So I just think that's so fun.
Do you come from a large family or?
No, not big, but I just have one brother. But we were definitely until my mom would get butthurt and leave the room. But it was so much fun, actually, when I think about it. That's where I get it from.
That's fun to have that, and to have that camaraderie or that playfulness in your life.
But I think that's what you need too when you're doing stand-up and something unexpected happens or you get a heckler. You need to have that in your back pocket.
Or you need to be really mentally disturbed. A lot of comedians are, as you know.
It might. I didn't take my meds today, but.
Hey, how you doing over there? What time is it?
Hold on.
We got to watch the clock on that one.
My one eyeball is going to start rolling.
Yeah, suddenly it's twitching and everything's going to happen. Isn't that funny though? I was talking about this the other day, and I said, you have to understand. I'm sharing this. I might have been with Daryl. And I said, isn't it funny? Because like most actors I know, most comedians as well, but I'll group them all into that creative.
Yeah.
We're all a little messed up. There's something off. There's something missing from childhood or something. It's not 100% stability there, especially because you picked the most unstable profession in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no guarantee of anything in the entertainment world.
And just the 3-ring circus you go through just to do what you love to do, you've got to have a good sense of humor. If you don't, and you just laugh at the chaos and the craziness,
and a thick skin to not be hurt by, like you said, your mom got butthurt by the common jokes, and you go, well, you never make it in business, Mom. But you think about it, it's like I tell friends, I tell my girlfriend too that I go, look, I survived because I didn't give a shit what other people taught me or what everybody said about me. And thankfully, I had an acting coach early on. He said, one of his quotes was like, don't give a shit about what other people think.
Oh.
And it hit me, and I'm like, do I? But you realize you do. I remember reading a review of a play that I was in, the LA Times, and they said great things about me. And then the last statement was like, but, and I'm like, that's the one that hurt me. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. And then I realized, and one of my guys in there play with me, he said, don't read, if it really affects you, don't read them because they're all shit anyway. They don't mean anything. What's a review going to mean? doesn't have anything to do with you. So don't read them. So I stopped reading them. I'm like, okay. But people tell me, but hey, did you see that review? It's really great. I'm like, nope, I don't care. It's not going to change my performance tonight. But yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me of when I found someone had created a whole page on WikiFeet about me.
Oh, no.
And they were like, and it was strange. There's all kinds of pictures of my feet. And it was like, her feet are divine, but her face,
Oh,
is
no.
it so or something? And I just, it's hilarious, but I'm like, what's
But
wrong
you're
with my
like,
face?
what's wrong?
I think feet
Wait,
are
my
ugly
feet-
no
my-
matter who it is.
Somebody has a real foot fetish on that one, don't they? What are they? Are they blind or what? That's funny, but look, the fact you can laugh about it, that you can joke about it.
It's my favorite thing that's out there.
So you ever use that? You use that in your stand-up? You use that?
I haven't, and I really should talk about that.
You should, and I think I find it funny. That's a good one.
Now I can't stop doing plastic surgery.
So is that where your paycheck goes?
Yeah.
That's what you're doing now.
It's all into
you talk about that in-
freezing my face.
I'm looking at my random questions here to see if I have a good one for you. Here's a thought. What do you? You're looking at me like, what?
Uh-oh.
Just say it. Just say it. Oh, it's gonna be a deep one. No. What do you find that? You've kind of probably touched on this already. What do people misunderstand about you that you think, what are they? How do they misunderstand you? What is it they misunderstand about you?
I would say the number one thing people misunderstand about me is they expect me to be unintelligent.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because
and I don't like to talk about my day job. I kind of have separation of church and state there, and I even protect it. I use my ex-husband's last name at work, and I just don't want those two things together.
right.
And I remember first being in Hollywood, and my girlfriends would go, don't talk about that you do that other thing, because they won't take you seriously doing this thing. And I'm like, well, people have to make a living, So it really irritates me sometimes. I'm like, you don't know what I do during the day, and you just think because the other thing is they assume some man is funding my lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
That's the
a
other
big
assumption that goes with it.
That definitely would be in L.A., an Orange County thing, or something like you said, the housewives or whatever originally. But it's funny. I was thinking when you said that, I remember one thing that I thought when I first met you, and like the first conversation, I said, this girl's really smart.
Oh,
And I was like, no, because you had a lot of depth to you. The way the stories, and you were very open with me. You're very candid. You're like, wow, this is awesome. I mean, I love that about the acting world, that people just open up and tell you their life stories, which is part of, creating, part of letting go.
Yeah.
But I found that you had a lot going on, but I kind of wondered that because, it's a very stereotypical thing in Hollywood.
Yeah, absolutely. But over the years, I've just gotten used to it. It's like, whatever. I know who I am. The older you get, you just feel like, I don't care. I have nothing to prove to anyone but myself. And I really think age does give you freedom. There's that word again.
There it is. See, that came up for a reason, didn't it?
Now that you brought it up that way, I was like,
word.
that is absolutely true. So the older you get, the more the freedom is, you just don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not proving myself to anyone.
My buddy told me he's about 10 years older than me. I turned 60 last year.
Dang.
So, yeah.
Great.
Thank you. I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but thank you. I appreciate that. No, and he said, wait till you turn 60. You don't give a shit about anything. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I'm already there. But it's funny is I almost like on my birthday it changed, and I went, wow. Now I don't battle the things that I battled. I don't get into argument. I don't. You really learn to pick and choose what you want to do, because it's not that your days are numbered, but there's a wisdom that I think comes with age or aging. And there's a wisdom with being here longer and understanding human nature a little bit more. And I realized, like, oh, okay, so if I go that direction, I already know. I've already hit my head 100 times against that wall over there. So why don't I just sit back and go smoothly and softly over here and be peaceful,
Yeah.
as opposed to, because I'm a pretty aggressive. I was always intense. Like that was my acting style. Like I chose those roles to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that fucking guy that I'm gonna whatever.
Right.
I mean, I loved it because I was such a calm dude in real life that, so people saw me as like, Josh is gonna kick my ass when
Tough
he
guy.
comes in. You know,
That's
it's
kind
like,
of fun to play
yeah,
something
it was.
opposite of
I
yourself.
mean, people
yeah.
still think I'm like gonna beat them up, but I don't. I'm like,
Just gonna hide.
yeah, I'm coming for you. No, so I agree with them. It's like there was something that changed that just made it more peaceful. I'm like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to get a little older and to fall into that little comfort part of it.
A little bit of zen, I think.
Yeah. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the business. I'm grateful to all the chaos that you and I both lived in for so long, because it does set you up for like as we were talking about, it's more peaceful here. Like the anxiety levels are so much lower in Vegas than they were in LA.
And I just think it's changing in LA. It's more of a global entertainment community. It's not really the end all be all epicenter anymore.
No.
And so it feels to me, and this is just my opinion, but a kind of a sad shell of what it was when I was really in it and you were really in it, and I felt like it was magical, electrical, and I just don't feel that way.
It feels,
anymore.
it's so funny. I just went there last week. I was visiting and I came back and I told my girlfriend, I said, LA is like a shiny new handbag. It looks beautiful on the outside, but when you open it up, there's nothing inside.
Yeah.
And exactly what you just said. I'm like, it feels hollow.
Yeah.
And it used to feel like this community and this thing and this vibrance and this,
Yes.
this passion that everybody had. Everybody had the same goal. And now it just feels like there's really no community there left.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. And I'm not trying to diss Hollywood. I'm grateful. It gave me a wonderful career, and that I got to retire from and left with, and and I made it. I had a great run, a great career, but it's just I don't want to be there anymore.
And I appreciate that I got to be there during that time when it was really something special. So again, like you, I value it completely. I'm just ready.
But that's
for
okay. You can stay over
something
there.
New.
It's okay.
Ready for something new.
I like it. It's like I said, it's different out here, and hey, we're creating our own thing here. Like right now, we're doing this, and this is the new you.
Yeah.
The new Cougar has arrived.
The new Cougar.
She's in Vegas.
Lock up your sons.
We got a few minutes left. Lock up your sons. My sons are a little too young for you, but okay. You're like, how old are they, Josh?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. How old are they?
Stop. No, I'm not even going to talk about
Can
that.
I call you Dad?
No. That's funny.
What's your address?
That's funny. They're in California anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't want to go back there.
All right. Fair enough.
They're very handsome. I met they're very good looking men, but they're in their 20s, so mid 20s.
That's perfect.
You're like, no way.
I'll be over for the holidays.
You're like, wow. Am I getting invited out? Is that an invite, Josh? No. I'm sorry. I have to protect I'm so blushing right now.
I feel so
That
judged.
is so funny. I never thought I'd be having that discussion. Wow. Yeah, no, they're good guys. They're pretty solid people, which is great. What you want as a parent to have to say, they're not messed up. They're not into drugs. They started in the acting world and they went away from it because they didn't really like, Daddy, we don't want to do this anymore. And they were young. And I go, okay, I just want you to be happy doing whatever you want to do. So they're finding themselves, they're finding
parenting.
I don't know. We all try. There's no perfect parenting, as we all know. But it is interesting that you take elements of your own childhood, right? That comes out in your work, and it's we want to change those things. So if you never want to have kids, right? You never did. You never did.
No, I did at one point. My ex-husband could not, and then I just was older, and I was like, well, now I don't want to.
Right.
So it was just like it just was too late.
But then again, I mean, I look at it because when I had kids, I remember I went. This is the actual thought I had. my first son was born, and of course, I'm like, wow, I never thought I could love something so much. But then there was a part of me, I go, I just lost myself because I was very selfish as an actor. I was like, it was all about me, and all of a sudden, I'm like, oh shit, I'm not the priority now. He is, you know, and I mean, it's a good sacrifice, a good change, but if you don't have kids, you can focus on yourself and figuring out your things, and it could be a more selfish world, which I see there's nothing wrong with that.
I focus a lot on my dog.
Well, there you go.
That's the only maternal instinct I have right now is babying this cute little thing.
What kind
Tijuana.
of dog do you have?
She's a rescue from Tijuana. She's a half Cocker Spaniel and some pug. She's cute. Her name is Chardonnay.
Chardonnay.
After my favorite drink.
Oh.
Some would call that cougar juice.
Cougar juice? Is that
that's the nickname for Chardonnay.
Oh my God, Chardonnay. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't have a bottle for you.
That's okay.
I had no idea. Well, I wasn't really thinking about drinking on the show, but you never know about that.
You never know.
In the future.
All right.
It is Vegas. We can
cougar
drink.
Juice
We can drink anywhere.
waiting for me. That is true. I'm gonna go out in the parking lot right now.
You got a bottle waiting for you. Wait. Can we order? Sure, we can have it Ubered over. I'm sure.
Anything you want. It's Vegas.
Anytime.
Anytime.
That's the cool part about here. Well, I just want to say thank you for being here. It's awesome to see you again.
It's good to see you.
Reconnect. You're very lovely. You're awesome. I enjoyed having you as a student and being your mentor or your guru.
My guru.
I'm your guru now.
And maybe my father-in-law. I don't know.
I know that's not gonna happen.
Okay.
You're like, oh my God, you're so embarrassing me. That's very flattering. My kids are cute, but no, I can't go there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but anyway, I hope, and I told you I will give you a couple names and help you with the comedy thing, get you set up in here, and maybe you're gonna meet some people and hopefully get some attention or connection from this, and get back out there. And I'd love to see your sets, and you know, the future is nice and shiny out here. So
yeah, you're so inspiring. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh, thank you. Oh, we try. So thank you again. Thanks to my sponsor, Veterans Move, moving nationwide. If you guys would like to be a sponsor, it's on my link at the Carmichael Affect, Instagram, TikTok. We'll also find us on YouTube, where this will be posted as well. Tune in and check us out for the next episode, and we'll see you again. Thanks a lot. This is the Carmichael Effect.